Good morning. This is Michael Hayes from Momentum Hiring Solutions, and we're doing our Executives Association of Greater Phoenix podcast. It's not about our group, it's about the individuals and their businesses. Also, I know we have a great audience out there, and I've heard this podcast is #1 in the prison system. So this is going to be a good show. Today, I'm going to go around the room, and we're going to talk to each business member like we've done before. They'll give us a little 5 to 6 minute preview of their business, and then we'll do a round robin. If that's good with you, let's start over with Dane Palmero.
Good morning. Yeah, name is Dane Palmero. I own a company called Overflow Pool Construction and Repair. I started my business back in 1979, so if that tells you how long I've been doing this. I've had several businesses along the way. Some have failed, some have I just changed the name. But I started the business by actually scuba diving. I worked in the grocery stores. I worked for Alpha Beta. If anybody remembers the grocery store Alpha Beta, it's now Abco. But I had some scuba gear because I was from California, and a store manager asked me if I would dive down into his pool and take out a golf ball. He was in Moon Valley. I'll never forget it. And I said, sure, I'll do that. So after I did it, of course, I didn't charge him because I had enjoyed doing it. Got back and went back to work, and another store manager called me, then another one called me, and I said, geez, I think I can make some money doing this. And to give you a little bit of an idea how naive I was only 20 years old at the time. I've never been in business before. I said, I'm going to make some money doing this. So I charged the other guys $5. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. But eventually I got to do more work after that. I'm totally 100% self-taught, which I do not wish on anybody. That I do not wish on anyone because there were so many failures. But anyway, I got to the point where I was getting more and more work, and the store actually said to me, hey, you need to make a decision which way you want to go. I mean, do you want to work for us or do you want to do your own thing? So I left, did my own thing. And I started a business called Scuba Scrubber, pool service. And that's pretty much what I did, and today and now I'm building pools. I built my first pool in 1984. So now I'm building pools, custom pools and budget pools.
Great. And we'll get back to you because I'm interested to know about the financing, size, what's the general makeup of pools today, because they've probably changed a lot since I was working on pools. Doc, what about you?
Thank you for bringing me here. It's a real pleasure to be with all of you guys. My name is Dr. Ruchir Gupta. I'm the founder and owner of Mountain View Headache and Spine Institute. I'm by training a double board certified pain management physician. My main focus is on emerging therapies for chronic pain. I do IV ketamine and IV lidocaine infusions for patients that are struggling with pain that isn't responding to other modalities. I also do a lot of work with stem cells and super concentrated platelets, which are our version of platelet-rich plasma, and that's for your joint pain, your spine pain. I also deal with putting in spinal cord stimulators, which use electric signals to block off pain signals in patients who've had back surgery gone bad or knee surgery gone bad. My main focus is on how can we do good work for these people without bringing in opioids. Arizona is a border state. We have fentanyl crossing the border. A lot of my colleagues have patients that ultimately end up on opioids, but opioids is what we call the devil's drug. If there's a certain dose that works for you today, that same dose will not work for you a year from now. You have to go up. And that's all great until you've reached a critical threshold, which the state has defined. And once you've reached that threshold, it's very hard to find a pain doctor or any doctor in Arizona that will write you for it. So what do? Do you just live in pain? No, you do what any of us would do. You see if your neighbor will lend you a pill, or maybe you can buy one from someone who seems reputable. Well, being a border state, no matter where you go, you don't know what you're getting. So a lot of the times you'll get something that's the wrong dosage, even though it says it's the right dosage, because it's on the illicit market. Maybe it's laced with amphetamine or fentanyl. That's how we have overdoses. So the goal here is, how do we stop patients from entering this vortex, which will lead them down this path? I've been in practice for about 4 years now. 12% of my patients are on opioids. 12. 88%. 8 out of every 10 patients I see, I find a way to make them better without using opioids. I must be doing something right because I've been around for a while and we're only growing. And we're one of the few pain clinics that are actually doing financially well too, because it turns out good patient care is also good for the business. We're in network with all the insurance companies. I try to do everything through somebody's insurance. If we do cash pay, we have very reasonable rates. We don't practice wealth care, we practice health care. We have payment plans. And I'll tell you, most of my patients are not the well off. Most of my patients are your common man, the guy that's been working for Shamrock and has had a lot of wear and tear on their body, the guy that's been out on the road and was a victim of an accident. Those are the people I want to take care of, because the wealthy will always find someone. It's the common man that needs someone, and we've been able to do that. So I'm excited about sharing in more detail what I do, and hopefully, there's somebody out there listening to this that's suffering in silence that maybe I can help.
That's really good, Di. I mean, that's such a fascinating topic, only because the opiate thing, once you started cracking down on it, forced people into the black market. That's great. We'll definitely come back to you. Matt?
Thank you, Mike. I'm Matt Young, and my business is Matt Young Photography. I'm a headshot and branding photographer, so do commercial advertising and events, actually a lot of events. My journey to become a photographer has been very different, because I started out and I was doing basically production jobs most of my life. When I came out of high school, of course I didn't know I wanted to be a photographer. Of course I didn't know what I wanted to even do then, And when I moved out here, for some reason I decided I wanted to be an artist. And I ended up going back to school to study film and television, and I was actually very close to moving out to California to work on the production side of film.
Yeah. That wouldn't have been a good move.
Yeah, well, anyways, but it was a thought. Well, at that time, I mean, we're talking this is probably around 2010, 11, 12, where most of the jobs are out there. There's not very, what I was going to go into was like assistant directing and producing, which there's not really a lot of work out here for it at that time. I don't know what it's like now. So the last time I took a film course, and this was through Scottsdale Community College, it was a contemporary cinema class, which was really cool, but it was a study abroad program through Gateway Community College. I lived in Prague for about a month, and that's when I was just taking pictures all over the place, and that's really how I kind of in a way became a photographer. I just enjoyed really taking pictures. If anybody's been to Prague, architecturally, it's a beautiful city. A lot of history there to definitely always recommend as a place to travel to. And so I came back, went to school again, took some commercial photography courses, and I fell in love with it. And and I think what I really fell in love with most was starting to work more with people, and bringing out their best self behind the camera. Getting them the headshot that conveys their confidence, their approachability, and just so when people look at their LinkedIn or their website, that's your first impression. Your headshot's your first impression, and it just people want to feel a connection to you before they even they have to feel something before they even pick up and talk to you on the phone, whether whatever your industry is in. So I took it, I ran with it. Over the years, it has evolved into branding, along with lifestyle. And I think I've been shooting as a photographer probably, I've already forgot the timeline. It's over 10 years. So I didn't I kind of started more in the digital world. I didn't spend hours in a darkroom, which I did do a darkroom class as a prerequisite during the film school days. And luckily, I've just have always just tried to continue to improve my skills, improve my portfolio, so that people they build that trust, so that people know they can come to me and they can get the photographic content they need, whether it's for their LinkedIn. Some people use it for their hiring platforms, whatever their photography needs are.
Yeah, I think, and then remember to talk a little bit about later, because as somebody that recruits people, like myself, the picture thing is a bigger deal, because you see so many LinkedIn photos of somebody that took a picture at sunburned at the lake with a six-pack in their hand, and that's not necessarily what you want to convey when you're looking for work.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that. Make sure to ask me about AI headshots too.
I will. Great. And finally, Mr. Greigel, go ahead.
Good morning, Kurt Greigel with KMG Services. Thanks for having me. I look forward to talking a little bit of shop. I'm going last here. I was sitting here stewing while you guys were telling wonderful stories, and now I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to keep up here. So my wife and I started the KMG Services about 3 years ago, so we're a newer company. We've both been in the facility management industry for a long time, 30 plus years. We've been doing this. So we were both working and thought that we were those folks that thought that we could do this on our own. We could do this better. But what's going to set us apart? Again, it's about communicating. Doing what you say you're going to do. We want to be that company that, your one-stop shop. You call us, we're going to show up, we're going to do what we say we're going to do, and follow through. So, a little bit about us as owners. We're originally from the Chicago area. I'm a Bear fan. She's a Packer fan. So that causes some issues in the house. So we were in Chicago. That's where we both grew up, Chicago area. Moved to Washington, D.C., both of us working for large facility management companies in Washington, D.C. We're out there for a while. Both of us ended up traveling for work and weren't spending a lot of time in the D.C. area. So, it's outrageously expensive. So we had a relative that lived here in Phoenix. We visited here quite often and decided to make this our new home, and we set roots here. So been here for about 10 years, so it's now for sure home. So basically what we do is take care of commercial buildings. So whether that's in the maintenance side of things or the management side of things. So that's kind of our story.
Great. Well, it's great to have all you here. And let's, Dane, let me ask you that question I was talking about. I mean, people probably, if they're wondering about a pool or something like, I haven't done anything like that for 20 years. So I'm wondering, what's the process now? What are generally, kind of the range of, I mean, you could probably go up to $1 million, but if you're just Joe Schmo out there that wants a pool, what are some of the things they should be doing? What should they be asking? And then a little bit about the maintenance and the financing.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Mike, about what they should be asking, because years ago I actually wrote a book on how to buy a pool, not how to build it, but how to buy it, because there's so many questions that people don't ask. And I know a lot of us have done this, whether you're buying a TV, a refrigerator, a car, carpet, it doesn't matter. Have you ever bought something that after you were done buying it, you said to yourself, boy, I wish I knew that question to ask, or boy, I wish that guy told me that?
Yeah, furniture and
anything,
jewelry.
Yeah. You go, after you buy it, and you go, God, I wish that guy would have told me about that. Mm-hmm. Well, what this book was, it basically gave you a complete list, all the way down from how to pick your contractor to how to start up your pool with all the questions to ask. And I make it very clear in the book that I say there are no right or wrong answers. It's all about setting expectations. That's all it is. For instance, if you were to ask your salesperson, if I sign this agreement, how soon will you apply for the permit? It's as simple as that. Because every contractor, every builder, including myself, when somebody says, how long will it take to build my pool? I say it'll take 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months. It depends how the complexity of the pool from the day we dig. That's what everybody says. Okay, it'll take 6 weeks from the day we dig. Okay, great. Well, in the mind of the homeowner, they think, oh, they're going to be digging in a couple weeks, when in fact, they may not be digging for 2 months, because it depends on how long it takes to get the permit, because every city is different. So, we rely, the homeowner should ask the salespeople, okay, so if I sign today, when will you be submitting for the permit, and when do you think you'll have the permit? Again, no right or wrong answer. It's just about setting expectations. That's really what it is. And it goes all the way to the end as far as starting up the pool. And the other one that's really important that people don't know about is when a pool is dug, they think that the wall has to be down. Say, we're going to build your pool for you, and we're going to take down a section of wall. People automatically just think, well, the wall has to be down. Well, homeowners don't think to ask, how long will my wall be down? Now, if you don't have dogs, then I guess it's not a big deal. But if you do have dogs, it is a big deal, because they don't want their dogs to get out. A lot of people going in and out of your backyard, a lot of trades. And they don't put the plywood back up, the dog can get out. And what people don't realize is that the wall only has to be down to do one thing, and that's to dig the pool. Dig the pool, put the wall back up, everybody else can go through the gate. Nothing else has to go through that wall. The only time you would have to use have access to your backyard with the wall down is if you needed a crane to build a water feature. That's it. Other than that, nothing. Everything can be done through a gate. So, simple question, how long will my wall be down?
Wow. I mean, so yeah, some of them might just wait till the end of the.
Well, they do. They do because it's easier. It's easier to have access. Guys like to take their truck and drive right up to the gate and unload their material. Yes, it is a lot easier. But the fact of the matter is, it's the homeowner who's writing the check. And so I make it very clear to them. I say, do you want me to put the wall back up right away, or is it okay if I leave it down? They would never, in their wildest dreams, know to ask that question.
I would.
No.
What about how are pools getting financed? I mean, if you don't have cash, what are people doing?
Well, they're financing. Well, if you don't have cash, you're going to finance it. So
Yeah.
that's what you're going to do. And financing is not that hard to get right now, but the rates are about 8.5% for a pool. And a lot of people just don't want to do that. So most of the clientele, since I've been doing this for so long, I've got such a great following, most of my clients are all paying cash. I am doing a few finance deals, but not very much at all. Mostly everybody is just paying cash, or if they do get a loan, they just get a second on their house to do the pool and then their yard and everything else that goes along with it.
Yeah, or something like that.
Exactly.
And then you were doing something before about the, not a mini pool, but kind of
It's a budget pool.
bare bones pool. So give us a couple minutes.
That's called Simply Fun Pools. Now, I came up with that right after COVID because the prices of pool have skyrocketed. And that was an opportunity. I've had a lot of clients and customers ask me, say, Dane, what's going on with pools? Why are they jumping up so much? I mean, this is insane. Well, really, the truth is it's labor. Labor costs, everything is going up. Material costs is going up. But that's really not what it is. What it is that the price of pools, we have been so far behind the times of other states. Florida, Texas, California. I mean, all those states are way above what we ever charge for swimming pools. And quite honestly, everybody in our trade found it, the COVID thing, found it as an opportunity to break through the bubble, and now we're going to start charging more. Because during COVID, if you just showed up, no exaggeration, you just showed up to their house, homeowners would have a check in their hand, say, thank you so much for showing up, how much to get started? That's how easy it was to say. You weren't a salesperson, you were an order taker. So people were just raising their prices left and right, going up, 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 and they're not coming down. I've had quite a few customers say, oh, I was going to wait for the prices to come down. Well, they're not coming down.
Once you get used to them, they stay.
Nope.
Look at tires. I mean, same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they've went up, and then when oil prices go down, they go up more.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
once you get used to paying it, why should we roll back our
Yeah, and they're still going up. I mean, I got a notice the other day that equipment's going up 3%.
Yeah. Well, the cement and all the rest of the stuff you use.
Everything.
That's why it's amazing that people go, why is it going so expensive? When you used to be able to go to a fast food restaurant for $5, now it's 15.
Right.
So, I mean, it's the same thing.
Well, just to stay on that subject just a little bit, I did this about 30 years ago, just for kicks and giggles, when pools basically were about $15,000 then. I just wanted to know what other states were charging. So I went through the phone book when we had a phone book, And I was picking out some other builders, and I said, you know what, I think I'm going to call this company right here. And it happened to be a company out of San Francisco. I didn't even know who I called till I called. And I was going to pretend I was a customer. But I said, you know what, why do that? Just tell the truth. So I did. I said, hey, I'm so-and-so from Lanai Pools in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm just curious, what do you charge for pools over there? He knew I wasn't a competition, so he didn't mind. He goes, well, our pools start at $60,000. Now, keep in mind, ours are 15. He goes, our pools start at $60,000. Now, you can't compare Arizona to San Francisco. I get that. But the more I said, wow, $60,000 for a pool, that's quite a bit. He goes, no, $60,000 just to get you to the concrete. I go, what? And he goes, yeah, that's just the concrete. Then you have decking and interior that you have to add to that. And we're at 15, and they're at 60. So, I mean, that gives you an idea of the spread. I've talked to my sales reps from my manufacturers where I buy my equipment from, and he said, Dane, you guys should be lucky. You guys should be happy. And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, your prices here for Pentair equipment is what we use. He said, you're about 20% lower than any other state around on what they're paying. The guys in Florida, Texas, California, they're paying easy 20% more than you. I go, why is that? And he said, because you guys won't pay the price. Now, this is about 2 years ago before COVID. He goes, you guys won't pay what everybody else is paying, so we have to lower the price. Well, now that COVID went, we all got through COVID, and the prices started going up. Now we're back. We're nowhere near California prices and San Francisco prices or Florida, but we're where we need to be right now, is where we need to be. Yeah.
Interesting. Doc, here's a question. I mean, you could give some background, but tell us what your typical patient looks like. Do you have like a case study or something of somebody that's come in recently that's been through issues and then you were able to help them?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's one specific demographic that comes to me. I'll give you a couple that probably, fit the bell curve of what I see. One would be the guy that, I've had every nerve block, I've had every injection, epidural, I had 3 back surgeries, I'm always in pain, I'm on oxys, and nothing helps. That person should definitely be given a trial of IV ketamine therapy, because it could be that the reason why none of this helped is because we were targeting the wrong receptor. The molecule that is ketamine targets the NMDA receptor, whereas your oxys, your fentanyl, all your opioids target the mu receptor. So I found that a lot of patients in Arizona are in pain because their pain is coming from the wrong receptor. So we need to tackle that receptor. So that would be one demographic. Another demographic would be the person that, they are very active. And you see this in Arizona more so than you see it from other states. I'm from New York. You didn't see this in New York that much. But the hiker, the hunter, the person that's very outdoorsy has knee pain. They've been told they're bone on bone. They're going to need surgery. That person can definitely be a candidate for stem cell. Because you're never bone on bone. I know that surgeons love saying that. There's always a little microscopic film of cartilage that's left. And so if that is still there, and it is 99.9% of the time, then we take your own stem cells from your bone marrow, process it in our lab, extract the stem cell, and inject that under live ultrasound visualization into that thin microscopic film. So it regrows the cartilage. Now you don't need surgery. You walk out of the clinic. So you save on the wear and tear of the surgery, of having an implant. You save on the anesthesia, which is going to affect your mind. You never fully sometimes recover from it when you get older. You save on the rehab. There isn't some structured rehab facility you have to go to. And it's your own body regrowing the structures that you've used. So I think that many of my patients fit into these categories.
Give us a little thing on ketamine. It's just not like everybody in town can give you that. I mean, you
Correct.
have to be, I think your discipline started as an anesthesiologist.
Absolutely.
Is that where most of the pain doctors come from?
Yeah, so if you want to do a pain management fellowship, usually you have to have done an anesthesia residency or a residency in physical medicine and rehab. Recently, some neurology residents have thought to go into pain medicine, but by and large, it's anesthesiologists that go into pain medicine. These are just some rules that were made early on. You can't go into pain medicine from just any field. So the FDA has approved ketamine for anesthesia. So it's FDA approved just as an anesthetic. So a lot of anesthesiologists who have had pain management rotations as part of their residency have opened up ketamine clinics that treat a wide array of disorders, including depression, PTSD, chronic pain, because they know that, look, we may not be experts in these areas, but we're an expert in ketamine, so we can definitely administer it safely. The benefit in doing a pain management fellowship is that you've had solid training in pain medicine. So you really understand the indication part of it, but now you also understand the administration part of it. So I do about 40 to 50 IV ketamine infusions across all my locations a day. I've never had a bad outcome. All of our locations are set up as mini ICUs with a crash cart, with oxygen, with all of the emergency meds. We have them, so we've never had to use them. But I have a lot of respect for ketamine. It's not a vitamin. It was made in a lab. I know what it looks like when people don't do well on it, so I don't take anything for granted. I administer it safely, and I make sure that the patients are getting just the right amount.
So this is something that you just don't go to any Tom, Dick, and Harry that's advertising on the internet or whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You do not want just anyone administering it. It really should be somebody that has had training in the administration of this medication. Look, it's an anesthetic. I've used it in the operating room when I used to do surgeries. I know what it can do. I know that it's not meant, it wasn't originally designed to treat chronic pain or depression. It was designed to really put you out so that a surgeon can do surgery on you. So you really do have to have a lot of respect for this medication. You have to understand airway management. You have to understand hemodynamics. You have to be willing to make an investment in your clinic to set it up for safety.
Now, here's the thing I've always heard is like when anytime somebody comes to you and says, oh, you need back surgery, I've always learned that that almost never works. Do you get a lot of those people in that have back surgery and it's just a mess? It looks like Home Depot in there. And
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, my opinion would be biased because if a back surgery went well, they're not going to come to me, right? And so I only get the patients with back surgery gone bad. What I tell my patients who have not yet had back surgery is that, look, half of my patients are patients avoiding surgery, and half of my patients are patients who had back surgery gone wrong. So if you're going to go this route, you really want to make sure that you've tried everything else. You don't want to just run to it because, you know, the surgeon mindset is always to look at an MRI and say, look, the MRI looks beautiful. Your implant is perfectly right there. Why are you in pain? I don't know. We now know, though, that, you know, an MRI can only tell you so much. 100 years ago when we just had x-rays, if you had a stenosis of one of your nerves, we'd say, you're crazy. You can't see a nerve on an x-ray. What are you talking about? Today you can. So, you know, all those people that we said were crazy, they weren't making it up. So 100 years from now, you may have really high definition MRIs that tell you what today's MRIs don't say. So I always say treat the patient, not the image, which I think is very different than what a lot of surgeons do. They treat a lot of what they can see because that's how they've been trained. So I always tell a patient that, look, if you can avoid things like surgery and implant, surgeries also come with scar tissue. So you got rid of the compression that was by bone. Now you have scar tissue compressing. So out of the pan into the fire. And lastly, I always say that if your own body has reserves of stem cells and platelet-rich plasma to really regrow and heal damage, why would you not use them? Why would you not use something? It's like saying, I'm not going to eat the cabbage that I grew in my own backyard, but I'll go and buy chips that were made in a factory. Why would you do that? If you have it, use it. Okay, if you have certain forms of cancer that are in your bone marrow, we shouldn't be doing stem cells. I'll be the first one to say don't do it. And in fact, in one patient, I didn't do it. But if that's not the case, start with what you have. Because by the time you factor in your co-pays, your co-insurance, your deductibles, and insurance companies are very savvy. They'll tell you this is your deductible. But when you go for surgery, it turns out every service line has a separate deductible. Oh, well, that was your surgical deductible. Oh, this is your imaging deductible. Oh, this is your inpatient deductible.
anesthesiology.
Anesthesia. So by the time you're done paying everybody's portion, I guarantee you it'll be way more than you would have spent on stem cells.
Wow, that's super interesting. And we'll get back to some more of those later. Matt, why don't you tell us some, like we talked about the LinkedIn, pictures on your website, stuff like that. Like people just think, hey, I got my iPhone and I can just click, click, click all day. and then use them. But it really does pop when you use professional photos. I don't know if people notice that, but I do.
I'm glad that you do. Actually, it's because I think the iPhone. I think a lot of people are like, well, I could just take my headshot with an iPhone. In a pinch, it may not be bad. Like if you just need to put something on LinkedIn as a placeholder. But what I see is people with they have shadows in their eyes, so it almost looks like they have two black eyes, and tons of neck, tons of chin, so it's not very flattering. It's where as a headshot photographer, I'm not only just I'm not just there to click the button. I'm there to coach you on the expression, the posing, and everything to make you give you that confident and approachable, and just that headshot that just conveys your personality up front. When it comes to starting with LinkedIn, the other thing, and the car selfie. Some people still have a car selfie, which I think is ridiculous. Yeah. But LinkedIn, as you know, when you go on anyone's profile, it's this small, little headshot. That should just be your head. There's some people that want to try to fit half their body in there, their full body in that, and it's
or their dog.
Yeah, and it's nobody's. This is not really. If you want to talk about your dog, let's do some branding images, because the branding is more the storytelling, a little bit more organic behind the scenes, about their business. And now going back to headshots, for example, I worked with an Army vet. His headshot was him in front of a Humvee. You couldn't even really tell it was him. It's just thank you for your service, but we need to update your headshot. You need something on there. When they need something a little bit more, that's when it goes into branding, or maybe they actually need commercial advertising. Maybe it's stuff maybe they're starting a campaign, or they're trying to maybe there's a product they're trying to show how their product is different than anybody else's, and so it's really just you sit down and you look at what are their pain points. What else are they using their headshots for? Some of them just need it for some of them need it for job prospecting as well too, which in that case, get yourself a good headshot and get it on in my opinion, I say get it on a clean background. And I know a lot of people they like the environmental headshot, but that's also good for branding, because if you need to see what the person looks like, especially if let's say they're job hunting, they don't need to see the beautiful trees in the background, or because it could be distracting, So that's those clean studio headshots. I recommend all day long for LinkedIn, and definitely or just really anything else. Their website, like you said, you can go on down the line. It's usually a whole conversation. Where do you, when a person, when a potential client calls in. Well, take for example, I'm actually talking with this guy. He does an HVAC company. He's got a lot of stock photos, and they're stock photos from the franchise as well. But the stock photos he's using, he looks like you would not know his business is here in Arizona. It looks like Minnesota, maybe Flagstaff, but he's not based in Flagstaff. He's based here in Phoenix, where there's nothing but cactus and desert, and that's what he wants his images to show. That he's, he doesn't want to give off any kind of impression that do we have to fly this guy out of town in order for us to work on our heating and air conditioning. So with photography, like anything, you sit down with the client, you see what their needs are. I still think when with headshots, one of the most gratifying things is when people come out feeling actually more confident. A good example is I work with a lot of transitioning military veterans. And they come to me, when they're about ready to come out of the military and then go into the job market, and all they really have is the stoic, military headshot that, and this is their words, not mine, where they look like there's just no emotion there. You know, they just don't. There's nothing. It, you know, they just. There's a million adjectives for it. You know, so when some of them come in and they walk out with like a new headshot, there's some of them are like, I've never seen myself like this. So, and it's really gratifying to show their real personality, especially when they're going to go into the job market, you know, and just a whole new, you know, some of these people who are all military life, you know, they have, you know, they're going into a whole new world now.
What, for example, what should person do? What should they expect cost-wise to do a headshot? I mean, ballpark.
Well, I guess you know, we're not cheap. For example, my session fee for headshot starts at $400.
Okay.
That is you know, the studio time, the usage of the studio, but also like the expression coaching, you know, the lighting, the cameras, you know, in order to do high resolution images, you know, we need expensive, you know, obviously we need to have expensive gear, but you know, like doing several poses, outfit changes, and just, you know, getting them, you know, not only that, it was also getting them confident in front of the camera, because like, you know, sometimes a photo shoot can be kind of intimidating. In a lot of ways, intimidating for people. Not everybody can come in and just nail it right off the bat, you know. So that's, you know, I don't really have any jokes, so I just try to crack some dry humor, and that kind of helps get, you know, kind of like loosen people up, especially when, you know, I might take a headshot and I'll tell them, all right, so on the next shot we need less misery. All right, next time I need you to point your nose towards the I-60, you know, and stuff like, you know, just stuff like that. And, you know, so it's, you know, that's kind of getting off track there, but yeah, like 400. And then the image fees start at 125. In most cases, if it's local usage, you know, it's 125. There's some companies that have come back and they've asked, like, you know, for like, let's say they've asked for like the original, the RAWs, or like a buyout of the images, and that can go, that price can obviously go up. Other types of photography that I offer, like my branding session starts at $495. Those, and then the images are done through a picture package. Commercial advertising, hold on to yourselves. That's usually starts at 4 figures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that gives people an idea, so at least they got something to compare. Because lots of people never want to tell you their pricing until you get in front of them, so they can, you know, nail your palms to the table, so you can't leave.
I would like to add one more thing
Sure.
real quickly about headshots. And I don't know if people are going to say, oh, you sound like a hater, but for LinkedIn, job prospecting, whatever, or just AI headshots are not the way to go. Yeah, it's quick, it's inexpensive, but there's one thing it doesn't include, and that's you. It's, you know, so, and I've actually heard from the words of, like, whether it's recruiters or job, you know, people looking for prospective employers, that if they get a, like, let's say if they get a resume with a AI headshot, it goes right in the garbage.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now that's not to say will it ever get better? And it's like all of
Yeah.
a sudden, you know, yeah, I'll look like me, you'll look like you, or whatever. But right now, like, I also like to think I provide an experience. I think coming into the studio is like fun, and that's actually a lot of what my clients also say is like they've had not only they've come out feeling better. I had actually one client leave a review yesterday. Hates having her picture taken, which those are the best clients right there. Those are, you know, and she loved everything.
Great.
Yeah.
Are you
I'm
got it
still
all
here.
there? Yeah. Go ahead, Kurt. Tell us, like for example, what's the advantages to using what I consider more of an outsourced program rather than just doing it in-house? That would be, I think that helps people understand, you know, why would I consider doing something like that?
Yeah. So when we work with clients, we outsource 99% of the work. We don't lose control of that, though. We have great relationships with subcontractors, with vendors. We vet them. We make sure that they're insured, licensed, insured, bonded. You know, so that takes a lot of the stress off of a facility manager, that somebody that's responsible for a building or a set or, you know, a group of buildings. They don't have to have a plumber in their database, an electrician. They come to us. That's I had mentioned this before, that we're, you know, the one-stop shop. So a facility, somebody that manages a facility, a building, they have us in their database. They come to us if they need a plumbing project, an electrical project, something like that. So that's an advantage of it. We think of ourselves as project managers. You know, we're there at the beginning, and we'll follow through. Good communication, even if it's bad news. You know, we keep our clients informed. It's you know, we don't like any surprises, and then follow through the end. But yeah, so that are some benefits of outsourcing.
Would you say is it comparative to doing it yourself, or is there some cost savings for outsourcing?
I don't know if there's if they're outsourcing to us, you mean?
Yeah, like instead of me hiring people to do everything here, or doing my own subs and having a call.
There's probably no cost advantage.
Right.
It's not going to cost more, but it's going to take a load off of, you know, again, that facility manager who may have buildings in California, Arizona, Nevada. If they can count on us to help them take care of their buildings.
And then they get only one person to yell at, which is a lot easier.
Exactly. Yeah.
What kind of challenges have you guys run across in buildings? Did you discover stuff that other people didn't do, or was
you
it a
always
poor
run?
job?
Yeah, you always run across that type of stuff. You know, nobody likes change orders. Dane can attest to that. You know, sometimes they happen. But, you know, you'll get into a project and then you find out somebody did something this way, and you can't tell before you start ripping open, you know, walls or that type of stuff. But we try to account on that. But, yeah, we certainly see where other people have failed or missed the mark. But
And then, what's your kind of size limit for outsourcing? I mean, is there a square footage for the building, or?
No, I don't think that we really have a size limit. We're definitely not a global company, so we're not going to take care of buildings, you know, even in, you know, back east or something.
Right.
I think really our limitations are area-wise, meaning, you know, we just cover the state of Arizona right now. So as far as square footage, though, we really don't have limitations on that.
Okay, it just depends on what the customer is looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
What's a common issue that you're seeing when you take over a building? Like something that you would say, wow, that happens a lot and I always see it.
Yeah, that's, you know, there's not really one thing. Just normal wear and tear, you know, flooring issues. I don't know if there's one particular thing that we see. But we always, when we go into a new facility, though, we think safety first. That is the priority, making sure that not only are we safe, that our subcontractors are safe, that our customers are safe, but our customers' customers are safe.
Okay.
Safety is number one. So really, we'll go into a facility, and that's the first thing that we look for. Even if it's a maintenance project, I want our folks to go into a building and not be wearing blinders. Maybe it's a simple, hey, we need to have this outlet replaced. Okay. When you go in, look, is there a trip hazard? As you're going through, if there is, point it out. We can take care of that. Just make sure that the customer's aware of things that are going on in his building.
Or you could have me come over
His or
because I
her
trip
building.
over everything, so you find it out pretty quick. That's an interesting business. A lot of people might not even know that exists, or not even know they could do that.
Yeah.
So instead of having Susie at the reception desk, or Jimmy, we want to be correct here, call a bunch of people and get bids and deal with all that.
Right.
Burns half a day at least.
Yeah.
And then having somebody call you back, that's another problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And interesting. Doc, I'm going to skip over to you. Tell me what your process is when somebody comes in and they have a pain. How do you go about evaluating, what am I going to do, or how do I put together a treatment plan for them?
Yeah, so I think that I always insist on meeting a patient live. I think that there's a lot of good to be done in the traditional way of practicing medicine where a doctor sits next to a patient. Their body language, the way they interact with you. I try to ask them about their journey. One of the key questions I ask is, how did your pain begin? Because if it's a pain that began 2 days ago, well, we're not going to give you IV ketamine for that. Why don't you take a Tylenol and see how you're doing? And that you're laughing, but I've had that. I've had, my front desk book a patient, and it said ketamine consult. And this young lady comes in and she says, I say, okay, well, what can I do for you? Well, I have back pain. And I was wondering if I could get ketamine. And I said, well, when did your pain start? She said, about a week and a half ago, I was lifting something. I said, okay, let's take some ibuprofen, rest. If that doesn't work, maybe we'll get an x-ray, an MRI, physical therapy, and then we'll see, maybe we should do some injections. We're not there yet, So I'm definitely not the guy that says ketamine's a magic wand that you can wave and everyone's problems go away. But yes, in the right patient, it's the right therapy. So to answer your question, I think that spending some time getting to know where the pain started, what has been done, what has worked, what hasn't worked, that helps me understand which treatment would be the best. So if somebody says, my knee is bothering me, I've tried everything. I tried steroids. I tried gel. It's always been that knee. I even tried nerve blocks. I went to a surgeon. The surgeon said, you're going to need a knee replacement. If not today, then next year. Okay, that's a stem cell treatment person. That's not a ketamine person. That's stem cell. Because what is the problem? The problem is you have some mechanical wear and tear. It's not the NMDA receptor. It's the cartilage wearing down. So I think that spending time with a patient and really doing a deep dive into their history really helps you decide which channel you want to explore. And by all means, if an epidural is indicated, I do an epidural. If medication management is indicated, I just write a script for a medication. I try to do what I know, in my opinion, is best for the patient. But I do think that because of what I'm doing, I get a disproportionate amount of referrals for patients who fit into these buckets of stem cell, ketamine, spinal cord stimulators. So yes, I do know that more than likely I'm going to go down that path.
It's amazing too, because you three guys, if somebody was calling you guys, they'd be calling like 4 or 5 people, but they'll go to one doctor and listen to everything the guy says, but they don't go check it out. Do you find that common? That they're not exploring, hey, let me take a look at another option?
I think that the psyche of a human being, and this applies to everyone from wherever they are, is just that when you go to a doctor, you're already at a very vulnerable place. You gentlemen do a great job with individuals that are looking to make their homes better, their marketability better, their finances better. But to go somewhere where your health is on the line puts you in a very vulnerable spot. And I'm very humble about that when I go to this patient, they have a lot of expectations of me, that they've put a lot of trust in me. And so whatever I say, at least I have to know that I did everything I could to make sure that what I'm going to suggest is absolutely the right thing. I mean, I'm not perfect. I may get it wrong sometimes, but I did everything I could to give this person the best professional advice I could possibly give them. Because they, like you said, they aren't shopping around. They're coming at a very, very vulnerable period. It takes a lot for the common man, or woman for that matter, when I say man, I mean it on both sides, to walk into a doctor's office. They're really giving up a lot of control. And I have to understand the awesome responsibility that comes with that. That if some human being that I don't even know is giving me control of their body, their life, I better not take that for granted and steer them in the wrong direction for economic benefits or to fit some quota or to come up with some kind of an answer to an experimental question. I have to do what I would do if this was my own loved one.
Great. Dane, here's a question for you. What are people doing right now or consistently that you see as either wrong when they build the pool or wrong with what they're doing for maintenance?
With maintenance?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a tough question. Well, right now, a lot of people aren't even taking care of their own pools or having pool service guys take care of it. But it all goes back to, and not trying to hound this, but it all goes back to asking the right questions. That's really what it is. Like a salt system, for instance, you're talking about maintenance. We go out to build a pool, and people want salt systems put on their pool. And I always ask them, why do you want a salt system? And I want to hear what they have to say. And most of them say, because I don't want to take care of my pool, and I don't want to ever have to buy chlorine again. It's that is so false, absolutely so false. And so I literally will talk them out of it. If they say, well, I want a salt pool because I like the way it feels, that's the right answer right there, because it does. It makes your skin feel really good. But if you're getting it to save money on chemicals or because you don't want to do any maintenance on your pool, that's a completely wrong reason to get it. And I also make sure I tell people that, you don't have to do it now. Keep that in mind. You don't have to put a salt system on right now when you're building the pool. You can always do it at a later date. So try and take care of it yourself with conventional chemicals. And if you find it too hard and you don't want to get a pool service, then go ahead and, put one on if you really want to. But I'm not one to push those type of items onto them if I can help it. I really don't want to. Maintenance-wise, I mean, everybody's trying to take, like all of us, we want to take the easy way out. How can we take care of our pool and not have to really spend a whole lot of time on it? And I will tell you one little trick. If you do take care of your own pools, and don't ask me why this works, but it works. When I was servicing pools years and years and years ago, I had found out that when you service a pool and take care of the chemistry, do it the same day every week. Don't check your chemicals on Monday and add what you need on Monday, and then check again on Thursday, and then check Friday, and then skip a week, and then do it Sunday, and then do it Tuesday. It doesn't work. The water actually is saying, come on, what's going on here? I mean, I'm going crazy here. I don't know if I'm supposed to do this or do that. And believe it, I know I'm exaggerating, but that's really the truth. If you were to check your pool water every Saturday morning, it would be a piece of cake to take care of. You would know exactly what to do. Exactly.
I know I had a pool service when I was in early high school because that's why I don't have a pool now. Because when you clean neighbors' pools when they're on vacation and do all their stuff, that's the last thing I wanted to do. As a matter of fact, I get a rash when I see those little scrubbers. So we were always on top of our pool. Well, my dad was on my back to do the pool. So you got to have somebody that's doing that. Otherwise, you end up with a mess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I just had a customer last week call me up. We did his pool for him, and he called back, said, we remodeled it actually about 6 months ago, and he called me up and said, Dane, we just got back from vacation. My pool's green. And he goes, I don't know what to do. So we took care of it for him, but when I asked him more questions about it, I said, well, what happened? He goes, well, I just thought it would be okay, without even thinking that the temperatures here are 110 degrees, and it doesn't take long for water to turn green out here. But, yeah, he lost it, and we took care of it, and he's back. He's happy now, but, yeah.
Yeah, just a little elbow grease.
Yeah. Yeah, one other thing I'd like to touch on real quick. Do I have a minute?
Oh, you got plenty of time.
Okay. Well, don't say that.
No, we don't have enough time.
Okay, there you go. There you go. When we're talking about pool construction, I've had people say, well, what makes you different than the other guys, or why is your price higher than the other guys? Well, what people don't realize is that you're buying labor, you're buying talent. That's what you're buying. You're not going to Home Depot and getting a Black & Decker drill. And you can shop that. You can shop that on Amazon, Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware. For the most part, you're going to get the same drill, and whoever has the best price, you buy it. But at construction, it's completely different. Now, I've been doing this a long time, and I've picked my trades. I've picked my subcontractors like you have, and you know who's good and you know who's not good. Well, I'm not going to use the guys that aren't good, and even though they are cheaper. But a lot of other builders out there will do that. Not all of them, but there are quite a few. It's all about the dollar. So they're going to find the cheapest guy they can to do the cheapest job, and as long as they'll get through the warranty period, then they don't care. They don't, like you were saying, I really highly admire you for what, you're not doing this for monetary reasons. You're trying to educate people to do the right thing. And that's what I'm trying to do. And we lose, I don't want to say we lose a lot of work, but we lose work because I'm a little bit too honest, but that's the way I am. That's my nature. I want to tell them the truth. And one more thing, and this will be it, on when we're talking about expectations on a pool, there are so many questions you should ask that people don't ask. That when they're done with the pool, they just want to pull their hair out of their head because they didn't know. Shotcrete. If I was to sell any of you guys a pool, here, do you guys know what overbreak is? Have you ever heard of that?
No idea.
No idea. No. Okay. It's in every contract. Overbreak is that if you use more shotcrete in a pool than what we allowed for to build your pool, then you have to pay extra for it. Now, if you don't know that going in, we go to shoot your pool and we go back to, hey, Mike, oh, by the way, your contract only allowed for 32 yards of shotcrete. We took 36, so you owe me for 4 more yards. And you're going to go, huh? What are you talking about? And that's just what you would do. And we'd say, well, look at line item 44 on your contract. It says right there that anything over your allowed amount, you have to pay X amount of money for every yard over that we use. Now, overbreak is a common thing. We don't know what that ground's going to be like when we dig the pool. We have no idea. And not, we could dig a pool and a big boulder comes out, falls out. Well, we have to fill that void with something. So that's all normal. This is all normal for every builder. But what I feel needs to be done, which we do, we educate the homeowner up front and we say, just so you know, this is what overbreak is, this is what could happen, this is what it's going to cost. And so in my book, what I said in my questions is ask your salesperson. Say, if there's overbreak, how much is it and what do you think it's going to take if they're in worst case scenario, just so I'm prepared for it. And that's simple, just a simple little question. And that sets expectations. That's it.
Perfect.
You
Yeah.
know,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I wanted to touch on what Dane had mentioned earlier. Like, we're only as good as our subcontractors are. And so we're not going to send a shoddy subcontractor to a job site. They're really kind of a representative of us, right? So we make sure that they're vetted. It's not about price. It's about, quality. Are they going to communicate? Are they going to do what they say they're going to do? Or are they going to do it right? So I just wanted to touch base on what you said.
It's so true, but homeowners don't think about that.
No.
They do not think about it. They just look at the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
I brought contracts or estimates to people's houses on their counter, and it could be 7 pages long. I'm explaining what I'm going to do, and they just keep flipping the pages. They get to the last page. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
I go, well, don't you want to even know what I'm doing?
probably should read it. That's what your father told you probably when you were a kid. Matt, tell us one thing that everybody should know about hiring a photographer. What's the most important thing they should do?
The most important thing I think is, of course, start by going to their website, looking at their portfolio, their galleries. Like if you go to my website, I have 4 galleries. I got Headshot. Well, it's called Ultimate Headshot Experience, the Influencer's Edge, which is the branding, events, and commercial advertising. So I think the best thing is, start there, and see if, that photographer aligns with what your pain points are, what it is you're trying to capture, whether it's, again, new, like we talked about, new headshots. Maybe you need more storytelling elements for your company. Maybe you do need, that's branding,
Right.
and, maybe, you need some commercial advertising for your company, events, it's, a lot of that is editorial, like, promotion for like next year's event. So it's kind of like, replacing like those old photos, because like if you have an event then you have at the same time next year. Well, you know, those photos are already old. You know, they're outdated. You want stuff that's, you know, of course, updated. So yeah, I'd have to say is like start there. You know, and just always remember that like I mean I honestly, like I said, we're not the most inexpensive. We're not the cheapest thing out there. You know, but we do come with a lot of like, you know, especially if they're professional, you know, they're going to bring a lot more to the table than just pushing a button on a camera. And, you know, I would say that the other thing is too is like, you know, I'm gonna have like some questions prepared to you know, to ask that photographer. You know, and of course I have my own questions that I prepare, you know, to. You know, I actually, when they call me, a lot of times they're not even sure what they even need the photos for. So that is my job also to like show them, you know, here's what I'm seeing, here's where I think, you know, this could be this area of your website could be updated with new images. And I was, you know. No, I was going to say something else, and I totally forgot.
You're going to get a chance to sum it up here because we're going to go for last comments.
Yeah.
Kurt, give us something that we didn't talk about that you want to get out there that everybody should know about your service or yourself, or why it's an advantage to deal with somebody like you.
I guess I would just be reiterating what I said earlier. You know, we work with people who manage facilities. So that's facility managers, owners, landlords, commercial facilities, I should say. A store manager who's also responsible for their store, whether it be a restaurant or a retail location. Mm-hmm. Those are the folks that we work with. We're just looking to grow with great clients that like quality and good communication. That would be it.
Simple.
Mm-hmm.
Simple.
Dane, take about 45 seconds. Anything you've forgot to mention or something everybody should know about?
Well, again, in the pool construction world, is that there are so many ways to take shortcuts on pools that people really need to understand and know. And like in your world there, Matt, you know, a lot of people have the attitude like, well, it's good enough. That's good enough. But you could take so many shortcuts on a swimming pool that people don't know, because the outcome's going to be fine. It's going to look great when they're done, but how long is it going to last? You know, so I keep going back. You have to ask the right questions. And that's pretty much it. But I really enjoyed this, Mike.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Doc?
Thanks, Mike. I would just add that, you know, in business, they say if you're not growing, you're shrinking. Well, in medicine, if you're not learning, you're forgetting. And with all of these private equity groups that are now buying medical practices, especially pain practices, because a lot of doctors are afraid of how things are going to change for them and maybe they should just cash out now. A lot of the local pain groups have now been bought out by big private equity. And what it's done is it's sucked the innovation out of pain medicine, because doctors can't practice the way they want to. They have to follow protocols set by some medical director who may not even be in Arizona seeing patients, but knows this is the best model for business. And what it does for us as a community is it prevents us from benefiting from what else is out there. And so one of the things that I wanted to do when I graduated from Mayo was really bring new innovative techniques to the Valley. And in the last 4 years, that's what I've done. And I hope that anyone listening to this, even including other pain doctors, can take from it that, look, there's options out there. There's a pain doctor out there that takes care of patients, a common man, not somebody that's wealthy or a celebrity, but the common man. And almost 9 out of every 10 patients he sees get treated without opioids, and they're doing great. So the technology is out there. So if you come to me, yes, I will do the traditional stuff, but I am at the forefront of what else is out there, and that's my focus.
Perfect, Doc. And 45 seconds for you, Matt.
All right, and I think this kind of almost goes. I'd like to close. Actually, I think it goes back to your last question. Is there is actually going to always be like the cheaper photographers out there. I can speak for a lot of us professionals. We've lost out to those people. I can give you a quick example of a woman who I did some photos for recently. She had hired, I think it was a friend of hers, and all the images came back like, you know, just kind of like pixelated and stuff like that. It turns out I think he was actually a videographer by trade, which those skills kind of cross over, but still, just to give you an idea. So she came back to me to retake the photos. So in the long run, it actually cost her more money. So like, I think if there's, so to put it this way, yeah, like sometimes going cheap is not always like the best. You know, it's not the good solution.
Well,
So we
and
were-
I think that's the same for almost everybody sitting at this table.
I was gonna, yeah,
Yeah.
and I kind of got that hearing Dane talk about it is like, you know, do it right, do it once, do it right. Go to a professional photographer, one that knows how to pose you, makes you look confident, authentic, great, so that not only you come out that everybody else wants to meet you, but even you feel better about yourself too. You know, you're like, wow, I'm a good-looking person.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's great. Well, want to thank all of our guests for coming. Great conversation. I really enjoyed it.